Welcome to Hester Brothers Cartoon Theater, everybody! I'm Alec, this is my brother Lucas, and when we did the Season 2 trailer reaction for Centaurworld, we promised that we were going to do a proper breakdown. That is what we are here to do today. Lucas, you told me before we did this is how your brain works. You like to do this kind of speculation. I should probably warn the audience, we analyzed the hell out of this, and there's actually a lot here that we definitely didn't notice. Assuming maybe some of you haven't noticed either, so if you're kind of sensitive to the spoiler thing and you don't want to find out anything before Season 2 starts, maybe skip this one, but I think it's worth watching because there's some really, really interesting things to unpack here.
This is obviously like speculation a lot of the times. We're trying to take visual clues from things that they left in the trailer, maybe look at some background details you wouldn't notice because the frames pass really fast, and we're taking what we see and making predictions. So a lot of what we say might turn out to be inaccurate, but that's part of the fun of analyzing. I'm just gonna say, let's get right into this because we got a lot to talk about. Like and subscribe. We know you guys love the Centaurworld content, so help support us so that we can keep doing content like this. We've got a whole season to look forward to coming very soon. December 7th is the release date, so we need the hype train to build.
I'm passing this one off to Lucas to lead the way because he's got a great vision. He took some amazing observations that I did not notice myself. So, Lucas, kick us off.
All right.
First thing,
I'm gonna jot all of these down through the timestamps that we see in the trailer on YouTube, which we'll also link in the description so you can watch it all the way through without us, pausing and stuff. First thing you notice is that Kamiko Glenn, the voice of Horse, does the introduction.
There is a war about to come here.
And it shows us a pack of horses.
I don't know what that's called. I'm calling it a pack of horses.
To me, this is a bit of a redirection tactic, because we only see the horses on frame for a second or two, but this doesn't look like our horse. Cartoonification that happened in Centaurworld isn't present here. What I think this is a visual clue of is we could expect that there will be more horses, maybe a tiny army of horses that pairs with the army of humans, which isn't that huge, but it does show us that we're going to get more horses, and maybe an interaction between horse, and maybe they might have their own sort of transformation as well. All speculation, though.
I can't believe that you noticed that was not Horse. And I stared at it for a second and I was like, no, you're wrong. But you're 100% right. There is another confirmed horse that we're going to talk about later in the video that you probably already know the name of. So, what's next?
And we hate her.
2 seconds in, we see the Nowhere King with a legion of warriors. I'd say that we can expect this to happen. This isn't really a huge thing. It does kind of indicate a final battle, and we will see other indications of a final battle, but pay attention to the background of the sky, because that same color background will be used in other scenes, which I think will all be from the same episode. 4 seconds in, we get Ryder's voice saying,
I want Horse and I to be together and to go as fast and as far as we can because we want to.
That indicates that we're going to have a plot of maybe Ryder having a conflict of interest with Horse, because Horse is falling in love with their friends in Centaurworld, but Ryder might want to leave and try to escape and have a happily ever after ending. Conflict there. This is also a guaranteed scene of them reuniting, because we saw them separate at the end of the first season. Horse is in a different outfit, looks like a sort of magical blanket because it's twinkling, so maybe that's like some magic armor or something like that. But we know for a fact that this is not in a dream sequence, because in all the dream sequences we see of Horse, their design is how they were before the Centaurworld transformation. Pretty unlikely that this is anything but an actual reuniting that we will see in the show.
We get a couple really quick scenes of just adventure happening. There's some bird tars carrying the group, a frozen sequence, which is kind of interesting, but doesn't tell us much yet. We get Ryder again, somberly talking, which I think feeds into your point.
Yeah, there's a potential escapism that I think Ryder is going to feel because they were on the traumatized side of the rift for a long time. And I think Horse is obviously softened up a little bit. We've seen that in their character design symbolically represented. Small note, but kind of cool, on frame 13, we see the golden cat tar kingdom in the distance, and we see a little caution sign that has the cats on it, as well as a little clip of the Rainbow Road. I'm assuming that this means we will be going to some of the old kingdoms that we've been to before to try to recruit people from every respective kingdom. There's other cat tars that we see throughout the rest of the trailer, so I think that's probably pretty confirmed. I hope that we're going to try to recruit shamans. I didn't see any other evidence of that in this trailer, but I'm hoping that we do because they're shamans. They're probably going to be good at fighting, right? I imagine. I don't know. I guess one's a tree. That might be a bit of a problem. I don't know. We'll see. That's speculation.
That leads into what becomes very interesting to me. This frame of all these eclectic characters that we have never seen in the show before.
And some that we have.
You see some comfortable Doug lookalikes in there.
The Glitter Cats, we have the Glitter Cats there. And then we have that other one that played the piano at Johnny Tea Time's competition. We all remember.
I'm gonna take the sash home when Johnny hears my skills today. I've been practicing the piano and it goes when I play.
We also have a bear tar, we have a finch tar, we have cat tars, and we have the comfortable Doug species, and we have a pelican tar, and then we also have a deer tar maybe. So it looks like this is indicating a unification of different species in Centaurworld that up until this point have all been very distinctly separate. I think that this is some convening of all species to come together for some reason, likely related to our main cast's goals in the war.
The character that I was the most interested in was this character right in the middle of the frame. This black and white character, their animation is different from everybody else. It's moving static as we go through. And we will see this character pop up again a couple more times in the trailer. So keep them in mind.
Yeah, it looks like they will be somewhat of a key character for some reason. If anybody knows, has any ideas, it's same with anything that we're talking about in this video. Leave it in the comments because this is just a place for theories to grow. We're cultivating
a mycelium of theories.
As we get to the 26-second mark, we notice a character from the last episode of Season 1.
Derpleton's lizard child is here, in fact. Now, we don't see him in every scene with the full cast, somewhere they're traveling, so I think it's safe to say that for some reason he doesn't stay with them for the whole season. We can assume that probably this is an earlier episode that we're looking at right now. I'm imagining that we'll lose him as a character. I don't think he's gonna die or anything. Maybe he'll end up joining the Centaurworld war effort. I could see something like that happening. But we do see him here, so his continuity is existing.
Moving on from this scene into something that seemed very important, and you caught this immediately.
This is, I think, one of the most important clues of information that we get, because what Water Baby says here, quote,
"First, we're gonna gather the centaurs and bring them right here to the rift."
Right here to the rift. And we see tents in the background. We see Ryder, and what I imagine is the war commander that she was referencing throughout Season 1. And I imagine what this is confirmation that we have a human army staged at the rift, ready to unite with the centaurs, who we get another visual cue for later, will make it through the rift. Whether those timelines match up perfectly is still up for debate, but we know for a fact that the army of people has made it to the rift, at least a small army, and Water Baby is working with them. And that's interesting information, because that means Water Baby will be successful in getting the humans prepared. At frame 33, we see the group together. The lizard is still there, so that's promising for y'all, for your lizard fans that want the lizard to be in the story. I do. We see a little bit of Horse just talking about this person who could be a very big soldier, could be really good for the war, and then they look kind of silly. The next frame, it looks like Horse is disappointed, but it looks like the other centaurs are looking at them with some sort of spite. And what we see later is that there's this big castle, and it looks like these are very prideful centaur creatures. In frame 44, we see our main cast up in that balcony seat watching what looks like probably a sword fight, so maybe evaluating some potential warriors from this kind of pompous kingdom. Yes. The other character on the top left balcony is also in a frame with the black and white character in another scene.
So that indicates that those two characters are linked together somehow, and perhaps this black and white character comes into the picture in this same episode.
Might be from this kingdom, I would bet that. So frame 47 I like, because we see the comfortable Doug's kingdom. In the background on the cave, there is a criminal poster of Glendale. Now, it doesn't say wanted or anything, but what it reminded me of is Glendale was not with the cast when they got pardoned from their crimes in that episode. Glendale escaped. So there's a chance that Glendale might not be welcome there when they come back, and that there might be a plot with her still being a criminal in the eyes of this community. We also see this new character who looks like he's probably a cop detective.
And that same character is part of the big frame that we mentioned earlier in the video.
Maybe a relevant character.
At the 52-second mark, we get a pelican.
Hi, will there be more comfortable Doug?
To which all of us, the audience at home, are like, please! And it's not too much longer that we get him popping in to say, basically, hell yeah, he's gonna be here.
The guy who's speaking has a shirt of Comfortable Doug, but everyone in the background has shirts of the rest of the cast. So that means that there's probably some sort of local social notoriety going on in the Centaur world, and that there's a sort of fan base being built, maybe even as a potential campaign to get fighters. Also, all of these people in the background look like children versus the person speaking who looks like a young adult. Obviously, the nerdy young adults who love comfortable Doug.
Speculation, but I feel like we're right.
I think that's an interesting clue. Not a ton of information, really, but it's good to know that people are in canon building a fan base of our core cast of people.
I'm going to quickly say that Lucas has been saying things like frame 47, and I'm realizing he did mean the 47-second mark. So anything that sounds like that,
oh yeah,
I'm assuming
that's very
that's
true.
What you meant.
It's seconds. I'm
get it.
referring to seconds, not frames.
I wanted to make sure we got ahead of that. As we approach the actual minute mark, where we are starting to get to everybody's least favorite character in this damn thing.
Becky Apples, Becky Apples! What a gorgeous fancy schmuck. Becky, how you like an apple? 'Cause I think your apples suck.
Let's start the train right now. Let's start the hype train. Becky Apples. I think that's fair to put on record, right? Now that's canon. That's not speculation. Becky Apples is part of the plotline. That's been confirmed. What we also could note is that the Becky Apples that we see in the song number, which is a banger, by the way, also not speculation, totally confirmed. That Becky Apples is probably just like a made-up version that Horse and Wamowink have in their mind when they're like thinking about this new person. Probably glorified to be more than they are. But what we do see is Ryder riding Becky Apples, assumedly. They are very stoic and badass looking, and I imagine that this will create conflict for Horse. Nothing more about that in the trailer, but it's a big song number that a lot of people like, so it's certainly worth covering.
After that, we get into a little bit of a character compilation that probably doesn't have anything major, just some comedy. But we get a really interesting couple of back-to-back scenes where we see Wamowink in the back of a sequence dressed as Ryder. We also see Zulius, who's in some kind of a production gear, like he is putting together some kind of play.
Yeah, and then that transitions into Zulius kind of doing a voiceover that seems a little dramatic.
We can't change what has already happened, but you'll never believe what happens next.
We see Chet, Derpleton, and Glendale dressed up in a very bad Nowhere King cosplay. I will do better than that. And we see Zulius flying. I don't understand why Zulius would be flying. I want you guys to try to plug that connection for me in the comments. I assumed that this is a play where they're explaining the history of what went on to a group of people who they're maybe trying to recruit or something like that, some sort of informative stage production. And if that's the case, and Wamowink is dressed as Ryder, then I don't know what Zulius's role would be right now. Maybe it's a gag, maybe it's dramatic. I don't know. So you guys let me know what you think about that in the comments.
We get a really silly quick sequence of Derpleton in the ice episode that we've seen a couple times on the trailer.
It is canon that Derpleton can go to space, and it appears as if he's bringing Horse there to thaw them out. Canon, it happened. Now Derpleton can go to space, and it's fine.
We then get a little bit of a blip into the Purgatory world, the space between the two realms.
Yeah, at first I thought that this was probably something that happens, like for some reason the Purgatory world gets shattered, but now I think it's probably more like a dream sequence or a visual addition to a song number or something like that, because if you notice, Horse is not cartoonified in this. Every time we see Horse in a flashback or a dream sequence, they are the same version of themselves they were when we met them at the beginning of season 1, and every time that they are cartoonified, I think that that's probably, real time. So it looks like this is probably a dream sequence that was strung together to make it look like something's happening, but probably doesn't actually happen. That's my guess.
Yeah, or I'm thinking more likely a song sequence where she is singing about her experience of going from the real world into Centaurworld.
Which is great imagery, but not plot related.
Splendid is back. Zulius is arch rival. We get a really quick view of Zulius just looking shocked.
I'm assuming that this is them trying to recruit him to be a part of the war effort? Maybe the soldiers? I don't know. That's just a guess. There's not really any clues saying that, but I could see it being true. Especially if Zulius is maybe like training him. That's why he's got a clipboard. But I don't know.
Next we get to one of my most interesting parts. 2 scenes. One of Baby Ched and another of Baby Derpleton, which
correct.
Quite possibly could be totally unrelated.
Well, we see Baby Chet being picked up again by that weird black and white character, and it looks like they are the same age. That's a guess. There's 2 things that could happen. This could be a flashback where this character is involved in Chet's backstory, and I'm guessing that these royalty might actually be the centaur, the horse tars that Chet is kind of racist against. So this might be a canonical backstory for him, but it might also be somebody's power, maybe a shaman, turning them into babies.
Well, because the complicated thing is when we see the baby Derpleton scene, that looks like it's being played for a backstory. Like, we see Derpleton with this adorable doll, and it feels like, in tone, Derpleton had something tragic happen in his past.
Yeah.
But is there a little bit of a chance that he's also been turned into a baby if that were a possible plot point? It very well could be that these scenes are just totally different, and they are put together to make us think that it's one thing.
What I'm hoping is that they're both backstory, because I'd love to see this backstory, especially if this is Derpleton's backstory. It looks very interesting.
We get a very, very quick scene of the cartoonified version of Horse crying with ashes in the background, which feels like it could be relevant because something sad happens in the human world, the war side of this story.
I think a battle was lost. I'm guessing. That's what I'm calling. At frame 147, we have a confirmed centaurs making it from the rift to the human world. This is definitely the rift in the human world. And we have characters that we have not seen in season 1 charging through as if they're immediately going into war. There's even some smaller looking guys in the very back. So we can assume that an army is beginning to or has been coming through the rift. And then we get a little bit of compilation of more fighting. We see Horse charging at the Nowhere King, which does imply a big grand battle. And again, there's that red sky. So that red sky might be the same from when the Nowhere King had his big roo-rah-rah around all of his soldiers. And at 152, which isn't relevant to anything and gives us no clues about anything, we see a very awesome looking creature with bat wings and is just awesome. And I wanted to say that because it might have flown past. I didn't see it the first time, and he looks really cool.
Get another design right after about this badass-looking Minotaur, which appears to be a flashback. We'll see.
Yeah, it's a still. It's moving out. It looks like a background scene. But then immediately following it, we do see a very short couple second of the Nowhere King blasting this gross sludge at both a Catar and a human, which is confirming again that they are fighting the war together. So that does end up happening for sure.
And the last interesting thing, Lucas, take it away. I see the excitement on your face. Go ahead.
I did not see this at all the first time that we watched this. We see that human, who we still don't know the name of, holding the spear that's the key to the rifts. And it looks like they're in Purgatory, that area, and it looks like they're breaking something. It's floating. I don't know what it is. We know that the human will be integral to whatever's happening, which I think we would have known anyway. I don't know if this really adds that much more, but I didn't see it, and I think it's really interesting, so I wanted to point it out.
Yeah, and they are wearing a different outfit.
Yes, they are stunning. They look stunning.
Yes, absolutely. I think that was the last thing of note. Was there anything else that you noticed there or that you wanted to talk about in the overarching scheme of the trailer?
Not really. It looks like everything plays out normally. We get the same Centaurworld logo where Chet flies into Horse's face, and we get the Netflix logo. I don't think there's anything more that I have to add, but if there are things that we missed, definitely let us know in the comments. Tell us your theories. If you guys have heard any news or lore outside of the trailer, outside of things like interviews, definitely let us know in the comments. And do your best to cite where it came from so that we can find it too. Because if you just say it, and it's not like, how do we know? You're just somebody. Like, why would you believe us if we weren't walking through the trailer? You shouldn't, because it's YouTube. Do your research.
Next thing that we are going to be doing is the reaction to the first episode of Centaurworld Season 2, which I am so excited about. Should, hopefully, if all goes well, be about a week from when this video is releasing.
One last thing I want to say, because I already see the comments being flooded with it. We did not watch the Season 1 song recap yet. I'm sorry, we didn't do it. So if there's anything that we missed that might be correlated to that, let us know in the comments. I'm not really particularly worried about spoilers for it. We're not going to do a reaction to it because it's too short and we're busy. And I love that you guys want to see it, and I appreciate your hype. And we'll try to keep the hype train going, but we can't get to everything. What we do want to know, though, is what you expect from the season 2 and what you hope to see from our show moving forward. So give us all the love and all of the fan theories and stuff in the comments. And got anything else for us before we sign out?
No, man, this was great. I had so much
was
fun
cool.
doing this breakdown.
I love these. If you guys want to see other trailer breakdowns, let us know in the comments too. I don't know what other things would be hype enough to do a trailer breakdown for, but hey, let us know. Alec and I each have a small sliver of reality that we respond to, and the YouTube comments is one of that sliver. So if you put information there, that's a great way for us to find it. So
Totally. All right, man. This has been great. Let's move forward into Centaurworld. I can't wait for Season 2. Yeah, that's it.
yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Yee.
Bye.
Bye.